Hello, my friends. This is Andy, coming to you from Yorba Linda, California, and we're going to be discussing a couple groups here, Facebook groups. Now, it stems out into the community and other forums and organizations and that kind of thing. But we have this group called Yorba Linda Moms and PYL Buzz, who are just simply people that hate. They hate parents and apparently hate education, but in particular, they hate Leandra Blades. And so, this video, first of all, I'm not defending Leandra Blades. Now, that sounds bad on the surface, but the truth is, Leandra Blades does not need defending. She's doing an amazing job, much like Deborah in the Bible in the book of Judges. She is a mom who's been tasked with fighting evil forces and the enemy, what for whatever reason is the California Teachers Association, the National Educators Association, and the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, I believe it's called. That's Randy Weingarten, which all of those groups are simply Democratic PAC committees that really care less about education and about teachers. And some teachers don't even understand that this is a fact. This is the truth. I've been investigating these three groups for 6 to 7 years, and find myself also looking into this Yorba Linda Moms Hate group and PYL Hate Buzz, and it is necessary, I think, at this point in time to really draw this out. I've spoken about some of the posts that I get sent. I get sent screenshots by a number of people, not just one person. There's many people that send me screenshots of conversations in these groups that you would not even think would be aligning, I guess, with the truth. But they're people that are kind of, they out in the public. I guess they just don't want to be yelled at and screamed at by teachers that really align with CTA. And so they kind of play the role. But I get screenshots like you can't even believe. I get so many screenshots and I have so much information. For years, Conte and Esther and a number of others believe I have some type of access to the group. I don't have any access to the group. They went so far as early on, several years ago, my wife, Hedia Miramati Falco, was in the group, and she told me, she goes, I didn't really even know I was in the group, but I guess I was, but they blocked her. She never even posted, she never made a comment, and they blocked her with her because of her association with me. And I guess they assumed that she was sending me screenshots. But the rhetoric and the lies that are spewed in these groups, mostly from Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim, has just set this snowball of lies into our community, where I believe some of the moms unknowingly either trust Bonnie Conte or Esther Kim or whoever else is in there enough that they just take what they say as gospel and then spread it out. And it's really caused a big problem. Now, again, it's going to sound like I'm defending Leandra Blades. And I think it's just important to know that is not what my purpose is. My purpose is to point out that they are just sending out such hateful things about me, about other people in these groups, that you have to understand that that's all they do. They have no proof. They have no inside information to know that anything that they are saying is true. They just say things that they believe will harm Leandra Blades and probably even Todd Frazier, myself, and other people, that point out what they're doing is harmful to the education of our children here in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. I myself, like I said, have been a police officer for decades, and I investigate, and so I look into all these things, and I want to make sure that whatever I put out there is truthful, and I have done my due diligence to make sure that what I put out there is going to be proper and good information, that nobody can call me on and say, you made that up, or that's not true. So I have so much information that I'm going to do my best to keep it down to a little bit of information, just so that I can get my point across. I have so much supporting information to what I'm about to show you that it would require a couple hours, if not more, to show you all the information I have. And it's all available. If anybody wants to come and see some of the screenshots or want me to share anything more, I can do that. But it's just it'd be too much of a burden for me to take everything and show you all of the screenshots that get sent to me. Just so you know who my wife is Hedia Miramati. She's an attorney. She worked for the government for some 25 years as a counterterrorism expert. Back in 1998, she organized a conference in Washington, D.C. called the Islamic Unity Conference when she was Muslim, so that she could warn the United States that Osama bin Laden was planning a big attack, as he was recruiting terrorists from not only other parts of the world, but actually from the United States. He was taking some of our young people and indoctrinating them into becoming Islamic terrorists and actually blowing themselves up for the cause. And in the numbers of several hundred. And she has, again, we have all the documentation. She has the expertise and the knowledge to share that with you. She worked for 5 presidential administrations and eventually left Islam and has since become a Christian. So her story is amazing, and you would want to know and hear about her story when you get a chance. So with that background, I just want to share with you, that's who we are when we're approaching this. Now, Bonnie Conte is a real estate agent, I believe. Esther Kim is a photographer. And so they do nothing as far as due diligence. They do no investigation. They just put out things, as much information as they possibly can that is untrue, to slander and to cause people to be concerned about Leandra Blades and Todd Frazier, myself, or other people that they support, because they merely just want people to hate them. And if you hate them, you won't vote for them. That is their sole purpose. Now, I'm going to go to my screen and I'm going to share with you some threads to try to help you understand and see what I'm saying. So this first one's from Bonnie Conte. And so on the surface, it sounds like she's just simply supporting teachers. And she says, thank you to all the teachers I know, many who are here in this group. That's PYL Buzz. We appreciate you and all of your hard work. I also hate to see you under attack by some in the community. It's not right. So today, a big thank you for all you do for our kiddos, students. We appreciate you, and I'm thankful to have some of the best here in Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. That's great. Tricia Hens Smith says teachers need all the support they can get. Mostly true. Then Bonnie Conte, of course, then has to say, I agree this climate culture of vilifying teachers by some is disturbing and worse when it comes from a school board trustee. So who do you think she's talking about there? Everybody in this group knows she's talking about Leandra Blades. Because why? Is because this has been going on for years. And there's only one person that she attacks, and that's Leandra Blades on a regular basis. And so there has never been a time, as long as I've been following Leandra Blades, that I have ever heard her say that she hates teachers. She has never vilified teachers. She has never attacked teachers. As a matter of fact, when she was president and when the parents of this fine community had control of the school board, the teachers were given a raise. Now, somebody who hates teachers would not make sure that teachers got a raise. She would have done everything she can to keep them from getting a raise. She would not have given them the resources and the tools and brought in a superintendent by the name of Dr. Alex Chernis, who was creating new programs to allow teachers to actually teach education, to bring in innovative ways for teachers to be able to teach students. People who hate teachers don't do that. But Bonnie Conte, through a post where she seemingly is a good person because she's thanking teachers, then goes to the extra point to make sure that she attacks Leandra Blades. Now again, did she say her name? No, but everyone knows that is the only person that she hates more than I think anybody on the planet, and is focused on here because it's singular and there's only one person that everybody that's in this group knows her and knows Leandra, that's who she's speaking about. Now, We got to talk about Esther Kim. So Esther Kim is Leandra Blades' next door neighbor. And if you see here, this post that she puts as close to the property line with Leandra Blades' house is one that says, Blades is bad for PYLUSD. How would you like to live next door to somebody that hates you so much that they put a sign in the front yard that shows you how much they hate you, that says Blades is bad for PYLUSD, Missy Jansen for school board, and then at the bottom it says, because she paid for this particular sign, says paid for by a pissed off parent and taxpayer. This is Leandra Blades' next door neighbor, Esther Kim, a photographer. That's what she does for a living. And I don't even know if she has kids that are in the school district, to tell you the truth. I've never really even looked into it. But this is just how much she hates. She hates her so much that the person she lives next door to, she puts a sign up and puts it in her weed-filled planter. You can see that they actually have a groomed front yard to the side there, which is Leandra Blades' front yard. And then she has to live next door, not only this weed-filled planter, but the sign that she puts up during the election. And then I just want to explain to you that Leandra Blades is a retired police officer. And over the years, in every social media group where these evil people like to post, whether it's PYL Buzz or Placentia Buzz or Yorba Linda Buzz or what have you, or of course Yorba Linda Moms Hate, is that they try to convince people that Leandra Blades is a murderer. You'll hear that several times, and many of you may not know what that means, but what they're talking about is that Leandra Blades, when she was a police officer, she was confronted with a man who had a knife who wanted to kill her. And as we in law enforcement have the ability to do, is that we have the ability to use lethal force to protect ourselves and to protect others. Now, this man was not only armed with one knife, but he was armed with several knives. The man was ordered to drop the weapon, to stop, and he didn't, and lunged forward, and Leandra was forced to use lethal force. The shooting was justified, and after an investigation by the DA of Los Angeles, was also deemed justified. So both by her department and by the DA was justified. I myself was involved in a shooting, shot somebody, and I went under the same investigation by the police department, by the Orange County DA's office, and they look at all the evidence, and then they make a decision, and mine was justified. So I know how this works. And what is interesting is that neither one of these women, Bonnie Conte or Esther Kim, would go out in police uniform in a police car, which becomes a target to criminals all over your community. And while you are sleeping, a woman by the name of Leandra Blades is out there patrolling the streets to make sure that you can sleep soundly at night, that nothing bad will happen to you, that even if you need to get up and drive somewhere, that you'll be able to get there safely, you won't be carjacked. People are following the traffic laws, that they won't run into you and kill you, that Leandra Blades was out there doing that. And this is who Esther Kim, a photographer, and Bonnie Conte, a real estate agent, wants to say is a horrible person. That when she was confronted with somebody with a knife, that she was a murderer because she killed a man who was trying to take the life of a police officer. In what world does somebody have to live in where they hate somebody so badly that they will call them a murderer when they are on the job to protect our community, and they do so, and now you're calling her a murderer? And you do it all over social media. So here's a text message that Esther Kim sent out to somebody where the person was saying, hey, wait a minute, she killed a man with a knife that repeatedly was told to put it down. It was a justified shooting. That is the truth. But Esther Kim texts back and says, if it was justified, she would still be working as a policeman. So, interesting policeman for somebody who thinks that men should be in women's bathrooms and girls' sports and girls' locker rooms and in girls' bathrooms, that she calls Leandra Blades a policeman. Was that a dig at Leandra Blades, or is she not aware of her own stance when it comes to men can be women? But The biggest lie there is if it was justified, she would still be working. That is not why Leandra Blades is no longer a police officer. As many of us, just as, and I'm using myself as an example because I want to make sure that you know this is not unusual, is that sometimes we get injured so badly that we cannot go back to work because we can't wrestle with people. We can't lift up a body that is injured and drag them behind safety. We can't do a number of things that are required from police officers. And so we sometimes retire due to injury. And that is why Leandra Blades is not working. Not because it was found unjustified. That is a flat out lie that Esther Kim knows nothing about. But she knows it was justified. She's been told several times it is justified. It is absolutely justified, and she knows that's the truth. But instead, she texts somebody and says, well, if it was justified, she'd still be working at police department, and that is a flat-out lie. We got Esther Kim here again on this particular post where she says, you seem to also understand that Leandra Blades is not that great of a person. But not that great of a person. Oh, sorry. But you don't really, sorry about that. But you don't really care. You just want her to push your policy through based on this tremendous fear that you have. And then, of course, the person who she's sending this to says, why do you care so much about who I vote for? Why are you constantly trying to convince me to hate Leandra? I don't care to know either of them personally. So here's Esther Kim sending personal messages to people. She was doing it throughout our community. This is on Facebook Messenger, and so through Facebook, you can message people, even that you don't have their phone number, as you know, and she's sending messages out that Leandra Blades is just simply not a nice person or not a great person. Why would she do that? It's because she has a hatred. She has no information. She has no facts to support her. She just really just hates the person she lives next to. And she's texting people, and this person's like going, well, why do you care so much about who I vote for? And this is the actions of Esther Kim and Bonnie Conte that really calls into question what is going on with them. What is so broken in them, in their hearts and their souls and their morals, that they are messaging people personally just to tell them that Leandra Blades is not a great person? What is it that supports that information? Again, she's never vilified teachers. She doesn't hate teachers. She supports teachers. That's why she's a school board member. We really don't know what has brought on this little bit of hatred. But here you have it. Here's Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim having a little bit of back and forth on Yorba Linda Friends, if I'm remembering correctly. I cut off the top because I don't want you to see the information of people that don't want to be identified, that just got kind of caught up in these conversations just by accident. But this is a conversation in Yorba Linda Friends. I'm sorry, Yorba Linda Friends. That's the name of a church. Yorba Linda Moms Hate. And Esther Kim says, how many profiles do you think she runs? Bonnie Conte says to Esther Kim, my guess is 9. Esther Kim responds with Rachel Sovereign, who I guess is one of the people that's in this string, says, I realize Leandra uses these fake accounts to do the dirty work of the super offensive bullying tactics she wants to use so she can look like she's not that bad, while her fake profiles are the ones that can act super mean. Now, listen. Now, number one, I just want to make sure this is clear too. I should have done this in the beginning, but Leandra Blades and I know each other. We end up being at some of the same events that are conservative or Christian, those that support America, rallies and things like that. But as friendly as we are, we don't hang out together. We don't go out together as couples, her and her husband and Hedia and I. We don't go out to dinner together. We have a friendship, but I could go months and we won't talk. I don't text her every 10 minutes. I don't keep abreast as to everything that's going on. So I don't know, but I do know one thing for sure, because I know not only her well enough, but I know a bunch of others, that she has her profile on these social medias that has her name on them, and that is it. She does not run any other group anonymously, because Why would she do that? Why would she put out the information that seemingly upsets them so much with her name on them and then do it again under an anonymous name or create some imaginary group that these people, I don't even know what groups they're talking about. She does not do that. I can tell you that with 100% factual information that I have, that even in me looking through it and even asking her, hey, do you have any other profiles you put out there? And I did it knowing what the answer is. And she goes, absolutely not. Like, why would I do that? She goes, I don't even have time to do what I do now. How is it possible that I would be other people in doing that? And these are people like Bonnie Conte, Esther Kim, and Sam Majovich, Karen, a bunch of other people that also create groups called, social media, what do they call them? Emojis or what have you. Profiles, that's what I was looking for. I had to look at the screenshot there. Profiles like panda bear, koala bear, furry bear, touch me bear, what have you, and post all over the place. Leandra Blades posts as Leandra Blades. She does not have a number of profiles. So why do I bring this up? It's because this is what they put out in Yorba Linda Moms Hate and PYL Buzz. They just want to tell people, anybody that will read this and doesn't have the time to really look into it, so that they begin to think that Leandra Blades is a murderer, that Leandra Blades hates teachers, that Leandra Blades has other profiles that spew hateful information. And so by doing this over and over again, as they do, they know that it's not true. They know that it is a false narrative that causes people that aren't paying attention in our community to believe that these things are true. And as you begin to do this over and over again, it begins to make people believe, who maybe don't follow Leandra Blades, who are not friendly with her, and say, that Leandra Blades is really a bad person. I heard she has all these profiles. I heard she's a murderer. I heard that she hates teachers. And they just now go along with it. We've seen it. We've seen people, and I've asked them out in public, because people will stop me at Stater Brothers there on Yorba Linda Boulevard, or in Brea on Imperial Boulevard, or what have you, at Old Navy, and they'll say, hey, I follow you. What is this about Leandra murdering somebody? I go, well, number one, she didn't murder anybody. Or what is this? Why does Leandra have all these profiles? I go, she doesn't have any profiles. She has one that says Leandra Blades. And they go, oh, I just read something where she runs all these other things. And so I sit there, and again, not being necessarily a super close friend with Leandra Blades, that I'm over there saying these things aren't true. And people begin to believe it, and this is their goal. It's simply because they hate Leandra Blades, not because any of it is true. So I hope you understand how important this is, that I'm pointing this out to you. And so we go into Yorba Linda News you can use, where Esther Kim goes on there even, and she says, Matt Wilkerson, another hoot of a person, I'm pretty sure Connie, Mike, and Sharon are all fake profiles, probably all Leandra. Notice how she kind of dips down a little bit and says probably, because she's been getting warned that she's going to be sued for slander. And so she throws in a little probably there, but it's still to Matt Wilkerson, because he is silly enough to believe this, that he'll believe, oh, Esther Kim must know something, that Leandra Blades is Connie, Mike, and Sharon on all these fake profiles. Esther Kim's doing this because she's hoping that Matt Wilkerson will go out, hey, I just heard that Leandra Blades is Connie, Mike, and Sharon in all these fake profiles. And then again, that's how these things spread. Esther Kim is doing this on purpose. Again, this is Leandra Blades' neighbor, by the way. So Esther Kim goes on and says, just know there's a chance Leandra mailed these letters out. I'll tell you about that letter in just a moment. Herself, because she manufactures outrage. Now, this is a definite statement. A definite statement is saying because she manufactures. She didn't say probably manufactures or possibly. No, Esther Kim is saying because she manufactures outrage for herself like that sometimes. She drives around town saying in a definite phrasing here, she drives around town and ruins her own signs around midnight in areas that are away from people's homes, is what I was told. And then she throws in her, Heather Brown, Andy Falco, which is me, and Mark Holt have been going so hard on these letters being mailed out that I've been wondering if Leandra is actually behind them for the pity points. Do you see this? Esther Kim is putting out these definite statements with a little bit I've been wondering if Leandra is actually behind them. Now, again, I got to tell you, I know Heather Brown. I think I've been in one place with her at a time over the last 6 years, and that was at some event that we ended up being at the same place together. Mark Holt, I'm sorry, Mark Holt and I are friends on Facebook, I know that, but I don't know that I've ever been in a room with Mark Holt. It is possible. And this is the craziness. Esther Kim is saying definitely she's mailing out these letters, and that she also definitely goes out and destroys signs, and that these other three people, including Leandra Blades and I, all are sitting in a room stuffing envelopes and mailing them out. I have no idea what she's talking about. Heather Brown and Mark Holt and Leandra Blades and I have never been in a room stuffing letters or doing anything. This, again, is what is happening in Yorba Linda Moms Hate and PYL Buzz Hate, is that they are putting this information, and obviously Yorba Linda News you can use, is putting out this information over and over again, creating a narrative that is simply not true. So back to that letter that she's referring to. There's a letter sent out into the Yorba Linda community in the area that Yorba Linda was voting on their school board trustee during the election. And to all the constituents that would be voting for Leandra Blades or not, they sent out letters talking about how evil her children are, that Leandra is a murderer, that where Leandra and her husband have sex. It was a 2-page letter. This letter was mailed out to every voter that would possibly vote for Leandra Blades. Why, again, that I ask in this question, would Leandra Blades send out a letter of hate during an election about bad information? Esther Kim believes and is telling you that it's Leandra Blades who mailed out all these letters. In addition, she's trying to tell the community in whatever this post was made, I believe it was Yorba Linda Moms Hate, is that Leandra Blades was out there destroying her own campaign signs. These signs, when you buy in the bulk, cost thousands and thousands of dollars, which she is not supported by the California Teachers Association. She has to raise this money on her own. You really believe Leandra Blades is out there destroying banners and signs that cost her a great deal of money out of her campaign funds on purpose, that she drives around town and ruins her own signs around midnight in areas that are away from people's homes? Well, number one, why would Leandra Blades put out signs that are away from people's homes, number one? And none of this makes sense. This is Esther. She's got a problem. She's got a serious problem. Her and Bonnie Conte have serious problems. That this is allowed on Yorba Linda Moms and never gets taken down. It stays up. It stays up long enough at least for somebody to send me a screenshot. Why is she doing this? This is what is happening. They don't take down, Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim do not take down these posts. If somebody comes on, a mom, who says, wait a minute, this seems ridiculous, what happens is that comment gets taken down and that person gets kicked out of Yorba Linda Moms Hate and gets kicked out of PYL Buzz and gets kicked out of all these other Facebook groups. Because they can't have somebody fighting against these false narratives. You can't have somebody telling the truth in these groups, because if you do, you'll be kicked out and taken out. My wife, again, was taken out and she never even made a comment, only because of her association for me. Wasn't Yorba Linda Moms, when you think Yorba Linda Moms is like, hey, this is where you come when you want information to help you be a better mom or to make your life easier as a mom or what have you, not spewing hate. And if you say, hey, wait a minute, why are you talking this way? Do you have any proof? Do you have any videos or pictures at Leandra Blades taking a hammer and hammering away at her own signs? Do you have a video or a picture of Heather Brown, Andy Falco, and Mark Holt stuffing envelopes and sending them and licking letters and sending them out? Do you have anything like that? If somebody said that, why are you kicking people out? They're asking the question, do you have any of that proof? No, they don't like that. You cannot do that. So Esther Kim is at it again here. She says the Vicky Bollinger thing. Oh, the signs thing, she does for sure. I spoke to someone who told me directly about that one whom I confirmed was someone who would Okay, let's just look at that sentence again. This is coming from Esther, a photographer, obviously not a trained attorney, not an investigator, not anybody in the know. This sentence, I spoke to someone who told me directly about that one whom I confirmed was someone who would know. Okay. I promised myself that I would do as Charlie Kirk does, and I would not be mean and say bad things. So I'm holding to that, because many of you know exactly what I want to say about that sentence and about that person who wrote it. But and then it goes on to say, the letters, I have no idea. Now she says she doesn't know who's stuffing those letters and sending out. I just brought it up on PYL Buzz as a possibility. Why did she bring it up? Because she wants people to believe. The fact that she wrote it here on a separate post in Yorba Linda Moms Hate, and she wrote it in PYL Buzz and didn't write this underneath that comment, will allow the comment in PYL Buzz to go on as if Esther Kim actually knew something. But she writes over here in this comment in Yorba Linda Moms Hate is that, well, I just put it out there as a possibility that can't be ruled out, because she does the sign thing. And now she's saying she definitely, Leandra Blades goes out there and destroys her own signs that she paid for with her own campaign money around home, not around home, so she can't be seen. Okay, and then my comment was screenshot and shared here. So here we have another one before I get into some other comments here that actually go against what Esther Kim and Bonnie Conte are doing. But here's Samantha Hampton Cadra. Do we have funds for an investigation? I am happy to donate. So the Samantha person believes what Esther Kim and Bonnie Conte have been saying. They believe what she was saying, and so she goes, let's do an investigation so that we can actually get some goods, some information, some facts, some pictures, some videos maybe of these people doing these horrible things. Esther Kim says, Samantha Hampton Cadre, I will reach out to you. We started working on this already. So Esther Kim wants to give Samantha the idea that she's already been investigating this. What Esther Kim doesn't want is an actual investigation, because she will find there is nothing. There's nothing to support the hatred and nonsense that she has spewed out there already. Samantha puts a little heart and muscle emoji there to say, I got you, girl. Jackie Jenkins says, reach out to me too. I'd love to help. I don't think that Esther Kim really wants your help, because you actually might be competent, Jackie Jenkins, not knowing who she is. But Leslie Alexander, I can help too. So do you see how this begins to grow? You got people like Jackie Jenkins, Leslie Alexander, and Samantha, who are getting caught up in these thought processes of a person. Wow, almost did it. And think that what they're saying is true and deserves an investigation. Hey, we can actually get stuff that says that these things are happening. Esther Kim and Bonnie Conte don't want an investigation. They may get what actually Quintero, Anderson, and Buck got in their investigation about Dr. Chernus and Dr. Isaiah Gates, is nothing they did was wrong. That there was nothing they could do to fire them because they didn't have a cause to fire them. And this is exactly what Esther Kim doesn't want, is she wants to put out that I've already started this investigation, so I will reach out to you privately, because she doesn't want to say that they don't have anything. And what I was saying was actually not true. I was just making it up. So you got people fighting back. These are people that got kicked out of Yorba Linda Moms, and this is probably what got them kicked out. And one fights back here. She's responding to Esther Kim and saying, and why would Leandra spend her money and time sending out a letter filled with lies about herself that you first spread all over social media? Do you not hear yourself? And then promptly, this person got immediately kicked out of Yorba Linda Moms Hate. And then another one says, Esther Kim, I think we will have to agree to disagree. It's hard for me to get comfortable with going after a candidate's family. That's what happened in those letters. It went after her family or children, even if the children are no longer minors. And I say that for both candidates. She immediately got kicked out. Esther Kim, I hope she does take you to court. You need to be held accountable for slander. Again, that black mark there is me covering up the name, because again, these are people that have decided that, we need to fight back, and they've already been kicked out of the group. I just don't want the lunatics to go after them. And so I find it interesting. I do this on purpose because, anybody that's conservative Christian or just simply has common sense, they get attacked by the left. They get attacked by people like Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim and Sam Mayovich and Quintero had me followed, and others. And so you have to block their names. The left doesn't get attacked. They don't get shot at. They don't get threatened. They don't get lies spewed about them. These are all I'm just showing you screenshots of their words. These aren't lies. These are actual facts, and this is what they hate. But you have to protect conservative Christians, but the left doesn't need protecting, but because nobody attacks them. We are sane people. Gail Richardson, and I'm showing her name because I know that she would be, at least as I've asked, that she would be okay with this, and I hope that that's the case. She writes, Esther Kim, listen to your words. I spoke to someone who told me directly about that one whom I confirmed was someone who would know. That's exactly what I said. What? You are the cause. Some reject got rejected. Some reject got rejected. There you go. Sorry. Some reject got rejected and made up lies, and you think he is reliable? You were wrong then, you're wrong now. You were wrong then, and you're wrong now. So Gail Richardson fights back and says, you are losing your mind, Esther Kim. And then Esther Kim writes back to Gail Richardson, I have had so many people, again, always with the so many people. She doesn't give us names. She doesn't tell what proof she has. She says, I've had so many people tell me that they believe you're actually Leandra. So Esther Kim is now claiming Gail Richardson is Leandra Blades. And TBH, to be honest, there we go. To be honest, when I Google your name, so now Esther Kim, this crack investigator, Googled Gail Richardson's name, and she thinks she solved the case here. I Googled your name. You come up as a teacher who retired in 2011, which is probably true. I just have a hard time believing that someone who retired in 2011 types or responds the way you've been responding, because every real person I've met from that generation doesn't type or leave messages like that. So this is all of Esther Kim's investigative prowess, is that she Googled her name, found out that she was a teacher who retired in 2011, and doesn't like how Gail Richardson responded. That it obviously is Leandra Blades. This is the madness. All right, another parent responds to Esther Kim and says, because you posted a Reddit link on PYL Buzz hoping to get hateful comments about Leandra, but instead people said to remove the lies, so you blocked them permanently. Again, I just want to show you proof that this is someone who knows about all the people that get blocked in Yorba Linda moms because they don't go along with the narrative that they want you to go along with, that Leandra is a horrible person, a murderer, that she destroys her own signs and sends out mean letters about herself to people so that they can feel sorry for her. Same on Yorba Linda moms, slight omnipotent complex. So I bring this up to you, this omnipotent complex, because number one, it's not me saying it. Again, I'm trying to be more like Charlie Kirk. But let me give you the definition of omnipotent complex. And this is true for both Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim. And it spells out exactly what they're doing perfectly. And here's what it says. It says, the term omnipotent complex typically refers to a psychological condition where an individual believes they have unlimited power or control over situations, often leading to unrealistic expectations and behaviors. This concept can be linked to various mental health issues, including narcissism or delusions of grandeur. And this is what we're seeing in Yorba Linda Moms Hates and PYL Buzz Hates, is that you have, in particular, Bonnie Conte, Esther Kim, and a number of others who just simply are narcissists, who have delusions of grandeur, and their hate for someone just does not allow them to have self-respect or self-control, critical thinking, and forces them to lie about somebody so that they can get other people to believe the nonsense that they believe or that they hope others will believe so they can feel empowered. And this is sad. This is actually going on in our community. So those of you that unfortunately that have been convinced by these two women in particular and others that Leandra Blades is a horrible person, you really should just either message her in Facebook Messenger. I can get you connected to probably meet up with her and talk to her, is learn about who Leandra Blades is honestly. Leandra Blades is fighting for her kids. She is for education. She is for the parents in this community, even those that don't like her. She really wants to see our children's school competency go up. She has fought for that. She fought for the Orange County School of Computer Sciences. She loves the fact that sports is also an important part of education and has brought us the Universal Sports Institute and sports to junior highs. She saw that there was a classroom of 4 different classes in a building, in a room where teachers were talking over each other. There was no wall in between the classes. And she said, this is ridiculous. This has been going on for 30 years and nobody's ever done anything about it. And her and Dr. Chernis decided, hey, let's separate these classes so the teachers don't have to talk over each other, so the children don't have to talk over each other. These are just examples of what Leandra Blades has fought for. She doesn't believe that men should be in girls' bathrooms, that men should be in girls' locker rooms. True. That men shouldn't compete against girls in girls' sports. True. All these things everyone knows are common sense. Everyone that is a parent, that is a father who has a daughter, does not want a man walking into the bathroom when our daughters are using it. We don't want men to compete our daughters in sports. Because why? Because as Mazie Hirano testified to essentially in a Congress hearing recently, she said, women are different than men. They're not as strong as men. A Democrat, she said that in Congress just a couple weeks ago. Leandra Blades believes the same thing and she knows it. Leandra Blades was a police officer doing her job on a night where other women would not be out there doing this. Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim would not be out there protecting people and putting their lives on the line for people while they're sleeping, while they're going to work, while they're going to school, and putting themselves in danger to make sure that you could go home at night and you could sleep through the night without being hurt, so that your kids would not be kidnapped, so your car would not be stolen. And they're trying to demonize a woman who was in danger. Her life was in danger, and that she had to use force to protect herself. It is not easy to pull the trigger. I am one who has had to pull the trigger on duty. It is not something that we go out there wanting to do. We don't go out there looking for somebody to kill. Leandra Blades did not go out there looking to kill anybody. She told the man, drop the knife. Stop what you're doing. And she had no choice. What did you want her to do? Did you just wanted her to die? In some cases, I think that that's what you wanted, based on what you're saying in these social media groups. But no, instead, she protected herself and protected other law enforcement officers, and she protected you in not allowing that man to get away with those knives so that he could kill somebody else. So my friends, you really got to take a little bit of an inventory of what it is that you're taking into consideration and the information you're taking in by being a part of these groups. And you need to really call out these women who are simply putting out as many lies as possible, not fixing the lie when they find out that it's not true. And they're just hoping that as enough of it will stick that you will think that Leandra Blades is a horrible person. You don't have to like Leandra Blades. You don't have to like her politics, but you do have to know what the truth is. And none of the stuff that they are putting out in these groups to this day, over the last 5 years, 6 years I've been looking into this, none of it has been true. That it is continuing and needs to stop. All right, my friends, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.